Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Back Post TV again. It's round 3 and it's preview time. But first, cab off the rank, we've got an apology. Dean Wilcock couldn't be with us here tonight.
That's right, viewers. You're going to have to put up with my voice. It's Julius Ross back in the hot seat. But we did have an apology from Dean, and I'll just play it for you.
I would also like to take this opportunity to offer my services for any future blogging, live commentary, special comments, etc. The Back Post website. I'm not sure if you heard the preview last week that me and Callan did, but I was fairly good at offering an opinion on this Southern game, even though I haven't been to a game this year.
So obviously, Callan, I've got a lot to live up to this week after Dean's performance last week.
Yeah, you've got big expectations, Jules, but Friday night, round 3 kicks off. The Glenorchy Knights are at home to Newtown Eagles. Knights have lost 2 on the trot and they're staring down the barrel of a 3rd straight loss if they can't get up on Friday night.
Yeah, it's not good for Chris Hay at the moment. Obviously, he's been a little bit disappointed with the display of his team recently. He described it as pathetic last week after their loss to Zebras, and he'll be looking for a big response from his team this week. Yeah,
look, he was filthy, Jules. I felt for him on last Friday night, and look, I'm hoping that some of his lads, my boy Strangy in particular, his son Jaden Hay, can step up this Friday and get them off to winning ways finally for season 2012. But they face a strong Eagles team that have won 2 on the trot. They've got Stephen Pitchford in charge, and he seems to have overhauled how Eagles are playing and perhaps unified them a little bit more, Jules.
Yeah, certainly. They're playing a good brand of football and they're dangerous up front. Obviously, they've now got another attacking option in Alex Lesinski, who's scored a bag of goals already. And those two will be very dangerous against the Knights. Obviously, Knights are leaking goals, so they'll look to expose that. Another interesting thing is the fact that Eagles actually haven't won a game against Knights since April 2011. So maybe that will play into Chris Hay's hands, but you've got to say that given the form, I think Eagles are going to win it.
Yeah, look, I think Eagles will be pretty confident of turning that trend around. McEwen hasn't really hit his straps yet this season, and I think there's a chance that he might jump on the score sheets potentially this Friday as well, Jules. So I'd be tipping Eagles. I'm not sure about you.
Yeah, no, certainly Eagles, I'd have to say. Unfortunately for Chris Hay, it could be 3 defeats in a row.
And that's how we'll kick off round 3. Second match for round 3, Jules, sees University hosting Clarence United up at Alinda Grove for the Andrew Hoppett Memorial match.
That's right, Cal. Obviously, it's going to be a bit of a sentimental occasion. Andrew played for both of these clubs, and this will be the 5th match that'll be played between the 2 teams.
University, of course, were well beaten by South Hobart, the reigning premiers, last Sunday, and they'll be even more weakened, Jules, without Julian Proud and Martin Pearce in goals for them this weekend. How do you think they'll fare against Clarence?
Yeah, they're 2 big outs for Gary Slice's team. There have been talks that Rory McCallum will return to the club in goals, and there are also injury concerns with Alexis Bull pulling up a little bit sore from his game against South Hobart. But John Merry might be on the comeback trail for University, and he'll be a big in for them.
Yeah, look, he similar to like a Nick Cuthbertson type character, big stalk. I know John O'Merry very well, and he'll be a big in for them back in the defence to shore things up. That's for sure, Jules.
The good thing is Gary Slicer isn't panicking about this game either, and he's promised to go out and attack Clarence and not sit back and pile 10 men behind the ball.
Clarence, of course, were on the receiving end of a loss against Kingborough Lions last week. But I tell you who was impressive was Cairns in the middle, Julius. He has been a standout at the start of season 2012, and gee, we expect big things from him in this game as well, don't we?
Yeah, definitely. The Scotsman has been in fantastic form so far. But here, David Hoppett, he's got a big match ahead of him, hasn't he, with his in his brother's memorial match?
Yeah, look, he got a head clash last week in the midst of a goal for Clarence. And they'll certainly be looking for a big game from him. I think they'll need Malcolm to fire up front for them as well. We know he's not a young guy, but he's certainly got the experience to win games like this, Jules.
Yeah, definitely. I think a key for Clarence is to control the midfield like they did against Eagles, but make that count. Last week they had Nathan Rees, obviously Sammy Canamella, and also Cairns in the midfield, and they really dominated, but they failed to convert that dominance into goals.
Yeah, look, they'll be looking for another big game from Sammy to Canamella Koala, I believe, Jules, and I'd expect Clarence to get up in this one.
Yeah, I'm with you on this one, Cal. I think Clarence are going to wrap this one up and win against University.
Let them laugh, let them shout, let them be in no doubt that before day is out, they'll be all freaking out.
Round 3 and we're at Warrior Park again, Jules. Olympia will be hosting the Mayor of Kingborough's team, Kingborough Lions, as they travel to Warrane in search of a win. What do you think is going to happen on Saturday night, Jules?
Look, I think Warriors are a little bit under strength this week, but Lions have been in good form. Obviously, the first game they had a bit of a mishap and drew. They recovered against Clarence and they won that game 4-2 in the dying minutes after Trent Pearce's injection into that game.
Yeah, he fed the Mayor in the box and who went over and finished that penalty. But it'll be interesting to see whether Pearce gets a start this game because he was instrumental. Of course, he was in the back post team of the week purely for that 10 minutes of input to that team. It'll be interesting to see if Rhodes rewards him with a start this weekend.
Yeah, I think obviously he'll be definitely in contention after his ball to Marchioli and then his finish there, as we can see, which is a fantastic goal in the dying seconds. But yeah, I think Lions are too strong and are strong favourites to get over the line against the Warriors.
Yes, Jules, and Olympia's task will be made even harder, given that perhaps their two best players for the season so far, and certainly the Summer Cup, Fielding and Waterloo, both out for this one after red cards at Warrior Park last Saturday night.
Yeah, discipline really let them down last week. They got quite a few yellow cards, and obviously Fielding saw a straight red after a tangle with Anderson, and then Waterloo went off as well with 2 cautions. So they're going to be massive blows for them.
Certainly, given the scoring prowess of Warren Waterloo, what a goal. We're big fans of him here, but discipline unfortunately let them down on Saturday night, and it's very, very hard to see Olympia getting up over Kingborough Lions, led of course by the Mayor at Warrior Park, even given their home ground advantage without those two to lead the team on the pitch. Who do you think in their absence, Jules, Profiti will be looking to step up?
There's players like Nick Meredith, Ben Phillips, they've been performing quite well. Again, I think Janko Begovic is under serious doubt as well because his hamstring's gone. So I think defence is where Franco really needs to use his cards correctly.
Do you think we might see a Stockdale injected into the lineup?
Let's hope so. I think obviously he's got a disciplined head and knows what he's doing. So I think maybe we might see Stockers get in there.
And just as a side note, the Mayor of Kingborough, Marcello Marchioli, did get in contact with me midweek, and he assures me he's had a haircut and the gel will be back as per normal. So if you're out there on Saturday night, take your specs because the hair will be glistening again. And Jules, it's Lions for me in this one.
Lions for me too, Cal.
Jules, we wait until Sunday for the feature match, the game of the round, South Hobart hosting Tilford Zebras at Darcy Street. 2 titans of the game and 2 key players that we think will certainly play a major role at the end of the season. Tilford Zebras, something to prove. South Hobart, ready to stake their claim on a 5th straight title. How do you see this one panning out?
It's a huge game, Callan. I think neither team goes in their favourites. I think it's a 50-50 match. And I think it'll be a fantastic blockbuster game. I think obviously Hugh Ludford's got a massive game ahead of him as captain of South. Obviously they've lost a lot of their talent as we always hark on about, but I think Zebras will go in confident they can maybe push South Hobart this year.
A lot of pressure on Hugh Ludford. 1 as a defender, 2 as someone who creates things that come out of defence, and then 3rd on top of that, captain. They need to take a little bit more of the load off him. They need youngsters like Brennan, like Posmer up front to step up. We saw Mizar Linares Keres on the weekend just gone against University step up, get a start and take his opportunities and score 2 goals, and that's what we need to see from Brennan, from Posmer, and they'll be expecting big things in the middle from Farrell and Urosh as well against a strong Zebras midfield.
Yeah, look, South has a bit of a blow. I think Andy Brennan's looking only 50-50 at this stage to play. So he'll do a fitness test on Saturday before the game, and that'll be a big factor in this game, whether he does play or not, because as we know, he can destroy defences, and especially a defence that Amon Kelly has talked about. His own defence has leaked a few goals this season. He's been unhappy about that.
Yes, and perhaps a few Zebras players with something to prove this weekend, Jules. The Foley Donahue brothers will be coming back to Darcy Street for their first game against their ex-club, South Hobart. And John Foley has been good in the middle for Zebras without being outstanding. And I think he'll be looking for this occasion to be perhaps the time when he announces himself on the season and the competition this year.
Yes, of course, it's a big game for John Foley, but alongside him he's got Ricky Self and Aaron Brasendale, and I think the midfield battle will be the key for this game. Obviously, South Hobart have Loic Farrell, Shay Hickey, and the likes of those sort of players are going to play a big role in this game.
Yes, Jules, for mine, Zebras perhaps with a more cohesive unit in the middle. South perhaps yet to find their rhythm in the middle with a couple of new players in there. Farrell, Hickey and Urosh perhaps not gelling at the moment. We might expect one of those to go forward anyway, but I think Zebras with the more cohesive unit for the moment in the middle of the park.
They have been hit by injury though, Cal. Unfortunately, I think Andrew Taliga remains sidelined, and he'll be joined by Ryan Smith, who obviously scored last week, but he's a big out. So they've got a bit of a hole in defence that Amon Kelly has to address. Whether Henry Fagg drops out of the midfield into defence, into central defence, we don't know at this stage. But there'll be a few key selections for him, and obviously he's been talking about conceding less goals, and that's where they really need to shore up the defence this season.
Yeah, look, I totally agree, Jules. If it was a midfield forward battle, I'd be picking Zebras. But I think because of that defensive worry and because of the fact that perhaps Hugh Ludford can steady the defence for South Hobart, I'm going to be tipping South Hobart just by a whisker in this game.
Yeah, I think that is a big factor, the fact that Ryan Smith and Andrew Taliga, who have a lot of experience, won't be there in that defensive structure for Zebras. And I think I'm the same. I think I'm probably going to pick South only by a whisker. But I think, Andy Brennan's going to be out, but I think they'll cover for that big loss.
And that rounds out round 3. We'll see you out there on the weekend.